everybody. How are you? We're so excited to see you today for the Red Light with the Women of Red Development Group. So you guys know that we really love doing this, and we really love the opportunity to come and hang out with you and talk. And hold on, because I'm messing up some stuff. I'm doing the stuff that I tell other people don't do. But clearly, I am not taking my own advice today, so let me fix my situation.
And so we want her to handle the technology. So, but we're glad you joined us for Red Light.
Yes, so I am Colette Portis, the CEO and founding partner of Red Development Group, and my amazing host is...
And I am Reggie Stearns Kemp, CEO of Red Development Group.
Yes.
We have so many things in store.
And let me tell y'all something y'all don't know about Reggie.
Is that in the script?
Don't tell her I told you, but she likes to eat her bread in France. She don't really like to eat her bread over here. You know, with us normal. She don't.
I do. So when we get a chance to offer a boot camp in France.
Listen, Linda, bread for everybody. Bread for everybody.
After 10.
Yeah, but we want bread all day. We are. You can eat bread all day there. Yeah, it won't even go to your thighs. So that's the kind of bread I like. So, hi, we're here to talk to you about some good stuff tonight. So what we've decided, as we continue to grow this thing, we want to make sure that we're bringing you the best content and information. So we've decided that we're going to have a theme every time we do this.
Every time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so guess what? Today, our theme is teamwork. Mm-hmm. Because we all understand that it makes the dream work, because that's what we say.
It does.
Except as business owners, we don't give the team no work to do.
Mm-hmm.
What is that about?
So, first of all, we have to have the right team.
Well, there you go.
In order to give them work and to receive the work back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But now I will say one thing, Colette, before I answer that. On the red tip of the day, mm-hmm. One comment that we got is that she said, "How do I balance the life of being in business?" But if you don't have a team, then you may need to consider having a team, mm-hmm. because what happens is that it drains all your energy, because you're doing all these different things that are not in your wheelhouse. So I just wanted to answer that thing. So going back to the team, a team is real important as long as you hire the right people, because then it creates an atmosphere by which they want to be productive.
Yeah. I think you said something very important, so we can't just skip over it.
Okay, let's go back.
The reason why we're so tired is because we're doing all the stuff that's not in our wheelhouse.
Right.
We're building our own websites when we make cupcakes. We're designing our own business cards. We're putting together our own marketing plan. We're doing our own social media when we do eyebrows. Mm-hmm. If we do eyebrows, like stay in your lane, mm-hmm. but go find another business partner to partner with and bring them on your team. You don't have to hire somebody to build a team.
You don't, but then sometimes we look up and we wonder why we're 3 weeks away from doing what we need to do, because we got so off track because mm-hmm. we were doing things that we did not need to do. Mm-hmm. So balance can come if you have the right people in the place and or you're not overextended.
Yes. And being overextended, especially, so now I'm going to talk to the ladies.
Come on.
Because we find ourselves overextended pretty often. And mm-hmm. so one of the reasons why we formed Red Development Group is because we came to understand in our own lives, like initially it was our selfish thing. Like we were looking for answers and couldn't find them, and then realized that us coming together created the answer that we were looking for. Mm-hmm. But what we understand is, as women business owners, a lot of times we don't have the support systems that we need. And I was having a conversation with a really great friend of mine last night, and we were talking about, just this idea of women being angry and mean and things like that. And I said, well, will you consider another thought? And that other thought is that we're just tired. And all of us understand what hangry is. Mm-hmm. We all understand when we tired and we hungry, we become hangry. All of us do. And so I always ask permission for for people to take a step back to look at the situation and understand that, you know, and I don't know that there's many of us that wake up in the morning that goes, I'm gonna have the worst day ever and I'm gonna be mean and nasty, you know, but something happened prior to that caused us to get to that place. So what we encourage you to do is first write the vision, make it plain, so he that finds it may run with it. And so figure out exactly what you want to do. What does the end look like? And then develop a plan that says what that is. And then you can determine who the key people are that you need to help you get the plan done, or at least get to that stage in the journey. So with that said, we are excited about being in Atlanta.
We are.
I know.
So did you tell them what's going on in Atlanta?
So I'll tell. I don't know. Should I tell them? Or
You should.
I should tell. Okay.
Because we need them there.
You know what? You are right. And we need you there because our greatness and the extent to which we can become great depends on whether or not you show up and allow us to have access to your greatness. So July 29th through the 31st, we will be in Atlanta, Georgia, and we want you to come and hang out with us. And what we're going to focus on is helping you to become an economic powerhouse.
Right.
Now, Colette, what does that mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. What that means is, remember I was just talking about that plan, and we were talking about teamwork. And how do you find your team? How do you build not just a team? Anybody can build a team, but how do you build a dynamic team?
Right.
Like, how do you build your starting lineup so that they get you to the championship? That you know, that's not, everybody don't know how to do that.
No, they don't. And
the Cowboys ain't done it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cowboy. I'm sorry, Cowboy fan, but they ain't really done that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And Jerry Jones got loan money.
Oh, he does.
And he still ain't been able to successfully do it. So I'm just saying that it takes some work and it takes some know-how. And so that's one of the things that we do really well is help you to build your dynamic team, build your A-team, build your squad, build your tribe, help you squad up, whatever you want to call it, so that you can be successful. And so what we're going to be doing in Atlanta, July 29th through the 31st, first and foremost, we're gonna be wearing these cute little masks. That got red development.
All right.
We gonna need y'all to be safe, and we gonna need us to be safe. That's number one. So we will make sure that we take all the precautionary measures, like checking temperatures and making sure everybody has hand sanitizer and wipes and all of that good stuff, and a cute little mask for red development, because we like y'all.
Yes,
we want y'all to live.
Mm-hmm.
So that's first and foremost. But what we're going to do in a room, and it's going to be exclusive, we're keeping it very small because we want to make sure that we're still able to social distance. But guess what? Even during this time in this pandemic, our businesses still have to move forward. And so in the spirit of moving forward, we are going to help these 15 businesses build out their annual strategy, the step-by-step instructions it will take for them to get from where they are today to where they want to be in 12 months, and hopefully even exceed that, because we've seen our clients do that. We've seen our clients do that over and over again. So we invite you to come and hang out with us. We'll make sure that we put, or you can go to redwomen.win or redwomen.win, WIN, and register. You do have to apply. Everybody can't just come. There's an application process. So you do have to apply, but apply. If you feel like you need the support, you need to build your team, you need a plan, you need to get your time back, you need to stop being tired, you need to stop having guilt as a parent because you're in your business so much that you're not parenting your children. If those things sound like you, then come hang out with us. We're gonna help you.
You know, and a lot of times people have been looking and crying out for help. But then when help comes, you got to be ready.
When the boat comes, they say, well, you know what? Just keep the boat going. Jesus is coming for me. Jesus is like, I done sent you 15 boats. You ain't
I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, and I've seen it in my life and in my experiences. I wanted the help, but then when the help came, I thought, "Ooh, that's a lot of work."
Yeah,
But it is work.
It is work.
So I always say entrepreneurship is not difficult, but it's discipline.
Yeah. Oh, come on, give me some of
There you go. Yeah, it's discipline. You got to
That
stay
was
focused
good.
and you have to be disciplined,
Yeah.
but it's not hard.
It's not. You're right. You're right. It's tough. Don't get now. Listen. Don't get it twisted.
No.
We are not saying that it's easy by any stretch of the imagination. But what we are saying is, if you have the proper tools and put, because I can't foresee that anybody got on their job and was given an assignment and you were like, I ain't doing that. That's too much work.
I don't know.
You know, you might say that, but you're gonna do the work.
Right?
Though.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about some of these new age.
Yeah. Well, if you don't do the work,
employees,
then,
oh my God,
then they're gonna give your desk to somebody else.
They really are. They're gonna release you into your purpose. Yeah. So. Yeah. But.
Yeah. So join us July 29th through the 31st. If you're in Atlanta and you're listening to us, come hang out with us. We've got some folks that are coming in from Dallas that are flying to Atlanta just to come hang out with us, and they're excited about getting there.
In California, California, September. Sorry, wrong group of people.
Well, California might be that too. So we don't know.
But anyway, what I will say is that the seats are selling fast.
Yeah.
So, and we only take 15.
15. That's 15. That's all we're gonna be done. Yeah.
So it's important that you register now.
Yeah. So go to redwomen.win and to apply. Not just register, you have to apply and you have to be accepted to be in that room. And the reason why we're doing that is because we want to be on purpose about the group. Right. The group that's in that room, their mindset is, I don't care what happens in the world, I'm going to make it. Whether somebody help me or not, I'm going to make it. So they're really looking for the resources that can help them win and get to their destination faster than they would by themselves, which takes us back to teamwork.
Yeah, it does.
Right? No great thing has ever happened with one person. Even Jesus had 12 disciples.
Right.
Right? And so, you know, we want you to help. We want to help you figure out who your disciples are.
He had 12 disciples and he empowered them. Right? And so in order for your team to be effective, you have to empower them, because if you don't, they won't do anything because you're jumping in, taking over.
Reggie done told us. Because we all understand that a lot of us, that's our issue. I know that was my issue at one point.
I can do it better.
Yeah. It don't matter that I can do it better.
It crosses your mind that you can do it better.
Let me just teach somebody to do it and teach them how to do it better, and so that I can go do what I'm great at. So we are looking forward to seeing you then. And then you guys have to stay tuned to Red Light, because we have something super secret coming up in August, and we're not going to tell you until then, but we'll keep dropping these cool little hints.
Right.
And maybe you'll figure out, and maybe you won't. But you got to stay tuned, and you got to be present to win. How about that? So, with all of that, in the normal Red Light tradition, we have one of our champions with us. And let me tell you something. She might be compact, but she packs a powerful punch. I'm trying to tell you, she might be a little bit of your thing, but she ain't no killer, but don't push her. All I'm saying. But we have one of our red champions who is, when you hear her story and you see her, you're like, that can't possibly be so. But I promise you that it is so. She's one of the most phenomenal people that I have ever met in my life. She just celebrated a birthday. Yay! Happy birthday! So she is going to join us today, and her name is Miss Tracy Harris, and she is the founder and CEO of HOPEvolution. Right? That just sounds sweet. It does. It's because she's sweet. At least until you turn Tupac on. Watch out now. You turn Tupac on, she a whole different person. I'm just trying to, don't say I didn't. That's all I'm saying. So we want to welcome Miss Tracy Harris. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, Tracy.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for those kind words, and the descriptions were fitting. in every way.
Well, you know, and y'all look how cute she is. I mean, her hair is just cute. I'm like, I don't understand what just happened, but the
Right.
hair is
During the
cute.
vibe.
No,
You
thank
know,
you.
Look, she
Get your
said,
hair care.
yeah,
Get your
right.
hair care.
She said, if I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna be cute when I do it. So
I know that's right. I didn't want fluffy hair during the pandemic.
yeah, I understand.
right, exactly. So we are so excited to have you on the show because a lot of our guests and a lot of our champions serve the business community. But you're a little different in that you serve the individual person who, and I'll let you share with them more about who you serve. But you serve the individual person. So, Tracy, tell us who Hope Evolution is and who you serve.
All right. Woo, that's deep. Well, HOPEvolution helps veterans, but HOPEvolution was created under the deep emotional connection between giving veterans hope as they transition from active duty service. One quote I like from Joyce Meyer is, "Hope is the confident expectation that something good is going to happen to me,
I
to me."
understand.
So there are many veterans who transition out of the military that some may know what they're going to do. Some may have jobs they're going back to. Some know, okay, I'm going back to school, or yes, I've already set my sights. They've applied for jobs before they exited out, but some don't know what they want to do. And of course, there's a lot of other things that go on with veterans, especially with all of these continuous wars going on and PTSD and all of that. But my focus is mainly on helping them build a career, not just a job, not just a 9 to 5. I'm getting paid $10, $15, $20 an hour, and I'm going home, and I got to look forward to this for the rest of my life. I want them to experience a true career, a career where they can advance themselves and use all of those skills that they've gained, whether it was in the military or outside of the military, mesh them all together and serve their country again through civil service.
And that service is with helping them to become employed with the federal government.
Yes, and that's to continue their service, continue their benefits through the federal government, because whether they know or not, they've already started contributing to the retirement fund. Now, there's different things that go along with that and requirements and areas where they have their retirement fund and different types of funds. So it just depends on what government agency they're picked up at and they continue their career path in. But all of that's calculated at the end in their benefits. But the fact is that they have that benefit already. And why not continue to build on that benefit? You've already earned it.
See, that's one thing that I didn't understand. Now, I'm not a veteran, but I do have really close family members who are. And what I didn't understand was because they've served and they moved from being inside of a military branch into a civilian position with the federal government, that is just a continuation of what they've already built up, so they can continue to build out what's in that pot for them. So I love the fact that that's what you're doing, and you're talking about that, because I don't know how many people actually know that, because I didn't know that.
So Tracy,
Yes.
no, go ahead.
Well, one way that they do that is through military buyback. And there's a calculation that occurs with that. But basically, for example, I'll use myself as a example, because I'm a veteran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I shot M16s for a while.
you see, I told y'all. I told y'all. You know,
Yes.
kill it, but don't push it.
The power, right? Right.
If I can do it, you can too.
Right.
But so once they're in with a federal agency, they go through the military buyback calculation. For me, for the time that I served, I only had to recontribute $800, and I bought all my military time back.
Wow.
So they actually pay for it.
Yes, and that is if you served after 1957. So before 1957, you don't have to do the military buyback, but after that, you do. But it's a nominal amount. It's based off of your basic pay, not any other BAQs or any of additional pay, hazard pay, all those other pays. It's just your basic military pay. And if you know, I don't think it's gone up much from when I was in. I think I was paid like $600 a month. I think maybe it's up to $900 a month for, you know, low ranking. Of course, it's different for different grades, but there's a short calculation. You contribute, you can do monthly payments or whatever. And then all those years you served, that will go on top of your complete federal retirement system.
So why was it important for you, Tracy, or HOPEvolution, to make sure you supported the veterans and the servicemen in their transition? Because that's the key, the transition, right?
That's how HOPEvolution was born.
Right.
Well, I also worked for the federal government for over 24 years. My specialty was in HR. I was in a unit where I was one of the HR specialists that reviewed applications on the federal website, application website called usajobs.gov. So anyone who wanted to work for a particular agency would submit their application to the website. As long as they made it through that process and they were on our list to review, then we determined qualifications on their resume and different things that we did. Well, there were many times when I found applicants not qualified, veteran or otherwise, only because they didn't translate their skills. If they were military, they didn't translate their skills, or they didn't completely describe what they did. Of course, I have a heart for veterans. So that's why my target market are veterans, but I will help non-veterans. But the one main reason is we also spoke to veterans as they were transitioning out of the military and they were overseas, and they could call us. So they would call if they were found not qualified. They would call and say, hey, I put in for this job. Why was I, and I got this email, why was I not qualified? And I got so many of those that for them getting ready to transition out of the military overseas, that's a bummer.
Right.
And most times it was because they didn't give us 1 or 2 words, and they have to meet certain competencies, and then they have to meet specialized experience. And if they didn't show that for a certain length of time, usually just 1 year, we couldn't find them qualified. Even though looking at their resume, I'm like, I know what he's trying to say, or I know what she's trying to say, but I can't assume what they're saying because we're looking at pieces of paper.
So
and when they,
so your area of expertise, because you were the one actually reviewing the resume and pushing them forward through that hiring process, your area of expertise is looking at it before they even submit the resume to say, here's what they're going to be looking for. Let's make sure you have all of these things in place before you submit it. So at minimum, you do not get disqualified because you're missing a word, or you're missing some time, or you didn't know how to translate your skills from your military experience into the civilian world and the civilian language. Let's look at it today, right now, before you submit it, and then we can submit it. But making sure that we're submitting it for the right position, because if you just don't have it, then at minimum, you can say to them, you don't have it. I know for me, let me tell you something. I would much rather have labor in another child before I try to ever apply for another federal position again. It's like, can I just mail y'all my leg, please? Let me just give you my leg, and you know, and because listen, and it's heartbreaking because you'll do 500 applications and they will ignore every one of them, you know. And so I think it's important, and I know that there are lots of people who would love to be employed by the federal government. Because there's a lot of security there. And then the other piece of that is, as servicemen and women and veterans, you can continue your service, which a lot of people, I understand, want to be able to do. They just don't have the tools and the resources to help them successfully navigate through the application and the interview process.
Right. Exactly.
So how does a veteran find out about HOPEvolution? Are you a vendor for the government, or how do they find you?
Well, currently I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a website, www.HOPEvolution.com. So HOPEvolution with 2 E's. And so they can go to my website and reach out to me on my website. But I'm looking for individuals to help me with a pilot group, so I can streamline my process to help individuals apply for federal jobs.
Is that called teamwork? Is that what we just
talked about teamwork. Well, and this is awesome. So how do they just go to your website and use your contact page, or how do they, so just go to your website, use your contact page, and let you know that they want to be a part of your pilot group.
Yes.
And so let me just get some clarification on the pilot group. So the pilot group is like, if the people you're looking for are people who really want federal jobs, and so you're going to walk them through your process of helping them to get a federal position. So it's not like you just need somebody to come and type something or something.
No, it's a lot of work, like you said.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we're getting results and we're actually achieving a goal. And you have to be dedicated to the process.
Yeah.
But right now you have a slight advantage because the government is hiring unfortunately because of pandemic.
Yeah.
So there's agencies like the VA, SBA, and Department of Defense. They're actively bringing people on pretty quick. When I say quick, I mean like probably 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's important that you say that, because on the civilian side, when you say quick, we think 2 or 3 weeks, but when you're talking to federal government, quick is 2 or 3 months.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So normal is 6 months. You know.
Right.
But I think it's important that we say that, because a lot of times we start that process with the expectation that it should be this quick turnaround, and our government just doesn't work that way. And so, but you know how to help them get through that process a little bit quicker, a little bit easier, and to get a response because of what you did while you were there for 20-something years.
Right. My goal is to alleviate some of the pain process, because I can tell you, when I'm reviewing your resume, I can say, take this out, put this in, change this word. I mean, I'm giving you like, okay, don't do this, don't focus so much on that, take that out, take all the fluff, just answer what is described in the vacancy announcement. If you read the vacancy announcement, it will tell you exactly what they're looking for. Of course, you have to have integrity and have done that, because you're going to go through interviews and you're going to go through a background check. If you haven't done that, you will be removed at some point. They don't give up to remove you. It could take 5 years and they'll remove you.
Yeah.
So, and I just say that because I've seen it. So yes, I want to guide you through the whole process.
Well, here's what's interesting, because on the civilian side, when you're applying for a corporate job, it's almost like you have to decode what they want. And what they said they want is not really what they want, but they want you to decode it and figure it out and then give them what they want. But it sounds like on the federal side, I told you exactly what I want. Don't give me anything less or anything more. Give me exactly what and I think too, I know for myself, I carry the corporate application mentality over into the government, which is why they ain't ever called me back. It's like a fleeting boyfriend. You know, we had one good date and he never showed up again. We didn't even have one good date. They were just like, yeah, so I gave you my number, but don't call me because I'm not calling you back for 500 times, right?
And you know, the mindset on that, Colette, is if you're giving me all this information, that means you didn't do it. I'm serious. If as the HR specialist, when we're getting ready to read resumes, if we see a lot of paragraphs of stuff, I'm like, oh no. And you go on the bottom of the pile, I'll come back to you, but I know it's going to be a 20, 30-minute process to figure out what you really did. And
So what you're saying is we understand that Jerry is fluffing. And so we just gonna go, because Jerry talking a lot anyway. We just gonna pass Jerry up because he done fluffed this thing. So let us go to John, because John is just going to give us what we want.
And it's something to be said about following direction.
Well, come on now.
Right. You know, and one thing that I will say about the federal government when it comes to hiring, evidently, and contracts, they're going to tell you exactly what they need.
I like it. I mean, I just like to probably listen. Tell me what you want and what you need so I can make an educated decision about whether or not I can give it to you.
But you have to be able to perform. That's all they want you to do.
Gotta be able to perform. That's awesome. That's good. That's good. Y'all getting some good stuff. We're gonna start charging y'all. Everybody send 50 cents to my Cash App right now. Y'all need to pay for this stuff. Y'all think y'all pay something.
So now, Tracy, do veterans come to you more or business owners? Because a lot of business owners are looking for good employees. And so it sounds like you have a pool of employees, possibly, or you have a pipeline for them.
Well, so far I've only helped a veteran and a non-veteran, or a military spouse and non-veteran. So I haven't actually seen business owners, but when I was actually with the federal government, there were doctors that applied for entry-level positions. There were business owners. People of that caliber did apply for jobs. Hairstylists, I mean, they just wanted a change in career. And they knew, and doctors. At one point, I was in the interview process for doctors, and they said they were just tired of all of the lawsuits, all of the work you had to do, you know, the patient load. And they just wanted to work with the federal government from 9 to 5, no responsibility, and go home. And they get a lot of incentives.
Gotcha.
And so HOPEvolution focuses on specifically on federal employment, not necessarily, you're not a staffing agency for, you know, any kind of business. You're not that. You are, and so you can visit HOPEvolution.com, and we went out and looked at your site, and so there's 3 specific programs that you have that somebody can choose to go through in order to get through that application process, but they come with some level of coaching to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward. Of course, you're not guaranteeing them a position, but you're using your 20-something years of expertise to really help them stand out and end up at the top of the stack. Because am I correct in that sometimes the pay that they're offered is based on the information they submitted through the hiring process, but if they would have submitted it a better way, it would have resulted in a different level of pay?
Well, most times the GS level is whatever is advertised in the vacancy announcement. That's what they're agreeing to accept. There may be multiple graded positions within a certain position description, So they could apply, say if it was a 579, and that's a scale that the government uses. If they apply at the 9, I'm sorry, if they apply at the 5 and they finally get considered for the position and get a tentative job offer, and then they say, no, my skills are worth the 9. Well, the government's not obligated to pay you the 9, because when you only applied for that 5, that's what you get. Now, the warden, of course, can make a decision, or the executive officer can make a decision, but then the qualifications, then we have to reassess the qualifications to see if they match it.
And that's the kind of thing that you can help them avoid.
Oh yeah. If while I'm reviewing your resume, I won't ever say that you won't qualify for the higher grade, but I can give you advice as to what may position you better to qualify.
So what are the top 3 reasons? What are the top 3 mistakes that you see applicants make when they're applying for federal positions? Well, let's not just say applicants. What are the top 3 mistakes that you see veterans and service members make when they're applying for federal positions?
Not reading the vacancy announcement, because reading the vacancy announcement will give you the competencies, the education requirement, if that applies, and the specialized experience, and it will give you that at each grade. The other thing is missing hours on your resume, because we cannot determine if you work that particular position full time unless you give us hours, nor can we calculate part-time hours that are going to be equivalent to 1 year with that experience and maybe other experience coupled, or a combination of education and experience. So your resume won't go far if you don't give us hours. And then the other thing,
But that's the thing. Like on the civilian side, they don't care about your hours. But on the federal side, they need that, because that's an important part of the calculation.
And we also need a full time frame, month and year. Now, if, say, for example, you have an application that says from 1995 to 2005, I did this, but you don't give us months and you don't give us hours, you would have to, okay, I can make a reasonable assumption, even at the lowest hours, that, and your duties described meet the qualifications. Okay, I'm assume you did it, but then you would have to get, your supervisor's approval to assume, because you always, as an HR specialist, when you're reviewing those resumes, if somebody submits a complaint, someone got hired, the other person applied, they think something fishy happened, you have to be able to be in court or wherever and explain, why did you find this person qualified? And then if it's found they weren't qualified, there's a whole heap of things. They may have to pull that person out of that position. They may have to pay money back. They may have to lose their job because they weren't qualified. They have found that person, so it's a big deal.
Tracy, they're serious about this federal government. They ain't playing. You got to pay money back. Yeah. What you mean I got to give you some money? Just fire me. Look, let me keep my check.
It's hard to find.
It's happened.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've talked about, you as what you do in your company, but let's talk about you on the entrepreneurial side. Like, and so our topic today is teamwork. So, talk a little bit about the benefits that you've seen working with the team that you work with, and then the things that you've come to understand, and how you've come to understand what else you need in your team.
Wow. I can't do this by myself.
the red tip?
You said that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way. No, just no way. If it hadn't been for ladies like you, the information that has gone in and out of my head, from where I was to where I am now, this has been a journey. Entrepreneurship, I'm finding out, it's totally opposite from working for the federal government
Yeah.
or any type of structured,
Right.
organization, because you're told what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you can veer off the road a little bit like a little rabbit and then jump back on. You got to jump back on at some point because you still want to accomplish the mission.
Right.
But your mission as an entrepreneur, but there's so many ways you could do it. And an organization like Red Development, you show exactly the best route. And if you get off course,
Right.
you show exactly how to get back on course. But without that, you could be going to La La Land and never make it back as a business owner.
Right.
Yeah.
You go into
Next thing you know, it's 10 years
of
later.
failure.
Yeah.
The statistics are alarming.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just can't do this without a team. And in fact, I have a collaborative partnership with Morningstar Management in Killeen. Her name is Angela Booth. And she does all the things I don't do, but I need. Well, I do it, but I got to focus. We both focus on two different avenues. She'll help you with civilian jobs. I help you with federal jobs.
Very good.
It's the same amount of work, even though she said, I don't want to do federal. It's just a longer route on the federal course, but the same concept, the same process. She helps you with interviews, salary negotiation. There's a lot of things she does that I don't necessarily do, not that I haven't experienced it. Interviews, I've done hundreds plus of interviews, but my heart is for the other side. That's all.
So Tracy, I believe that this is a season for collaboratives. What was it that made you decide to venture in that realm? Because a lot of entrepreneurs think that it's uncomfortable or they've been challenged by doing it before, partnership, collaborative, whatever you want to call it. So what was it about collaborative partners that made it interesting to you?
Well, I want to give my clients the best service. Not saying that I don't want to just, I knew the federal process was not a talk to you 5 minutes, figure something out, and let's find a job and apply. Because I know that the process takes so long. And you want to have different strategies. It's different strategies. And if a veteran is transitioning out and that person doesn't have any income coming in yet, why not have a collaborative partner to get them maybe in the civilian sector? I'm still working on the feds while she's doing the civilian and get some money coming in.
Right. Very good. It doesn't happen overnight. That's good. That's good. So Tracy, how can you help us impact the world?
Oh boy. Impact the world. I mean, anybody that asks me about your organization, I'll tell them that you need to go through the MBA for CEOs or have some type of strategy, strategic plan. I mean, I know that's the thing for being an entrepreneur, but the 52-week strategic plan, once you start and you build that, and you continue to build on it, because it's changed from the first day. That's a whole nother segment. But
a living, breathing document.
that's a whole nother Zoom. But it continues and it continues and it continues, but it helps to get all of those thoughts that are flowing through your head on paper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what Tracy's talking about, Tracy attended our boot camp in January. And so that's the same boot camp that we're going to be hosting in Atlanta, July 29th through the 31st. Mm-hmm. So Tracy, talk a little bit about how just attending that boot camp and being in the room with those business owners, how did that impact your business?
Oh, it opened my mind, first of all. Hearing from all the participants there, you get nuggets from everybody. I mean, from you guys as the teachers, but the people around you fill in a lot of the blanks. Because, not saying that the program didn't, but it gives like you said, a person who's going through the pain that you're going through, and giving their personal perspective on how they overcame the challenge of that pain.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, hearing someone else, I learned more by observation, visual. I'm a visual learner. I'm an interactive learner. Most times I'm not able to just read something and, oh yeah, okay, I get it, because I'll probably fall asleep before I finish reading. But if I'm interacting with you, my brain is working. And that's what it does. It continually helps your brain to work and to process.
Yeah, I think that's a good description, because at the end of the day, all of us are tired. You know, sometimes people are like, yeah, well, I'm going to go home and do this. And then at the end of the day, they were like, yeah, I'm just going to go to sleep. I might need to call an Uber because I might fall asleep in the car at the night. But what we love about that is it creates this synergy, and for the full day, the energy is so high and rich that at the end of it all, it's like, oh my God, I gave it everything that I had. I have to go home and go to bed now because I need to come back tomorrow so that I can do the same thing because of the results that I've gotten today and the clarity that I've gotten. And this was one of the pieces of feedback that one of the participants gave us the last time, was that the first night, the second night, and the third night, they got the best sleep they had gotten in years. Because they left it all on the table that day. And so their minds weren't racing, and they became clear every day. And so because they were in a space that drew all of that out of them, it allowed them to rest and not be restless.
Right. And I think another thing that happened is that when you're in that room, you are focused. But we service different markets, because sometimes it's very difficult to go to a class that's in your city and be fully engaged. So the people that came from the other cities like Michigan and I don't even remember all the other areas, they had the luxury, if that's what you want to call it, because they still had work to do, but they had the luxury of going to their hotel rooms and then reviewing the information that they learned that day and thinking about how it applied to their actual businesses and putting those plans in effect before they even left.
And they didn't have to be concerned about, I got to get home and make dinner, I got to go pick the kids up. And so we say all of that to say, because this boot camp is in Atlanta, you are welcome to come from anywhere in the world. It's advised, because it although you're working, it almost seems like a vacation. And then the other piece of that was those who flew in for the boot camp, when they got home, some of them saw a different response from their spouse when they were able to show their spouse the work that they did. And so we understand that as entrepreneurs, that sometimes our significant others, they don't get it. And they don't get it. And so their support is not what we would like it to be or what we need it to be. But when they got home and they were able to show the work that they did, their spouses and their significant others were like, oh, so I guess you're really serious about this, but this is really cool. Let me look at this. Oh, can I do this? And they started to become a team in the journey, as opposed to, I'm doing this thing, you're doing this thing, and that little thing you're doing is really not they understood that when you come home with a 300 page document, you are serious about. Nobody does that just for fun.
Right.
You know.
And earlier you mentioned vision, and I'm glad you circled back around to that. You know, and when we're talking about vision, we're not talking about a vision statement.
Right. No.
Like, you know, there are different areas of your business that you have to make sure operate a certain way in order for it to be profitable, not even productive. Let's just stick with profit. You know, so that vision that she talked about, I mean, there are 10 different areas. So it's a real plan. It is a vision, but it's not a statement. It is a plan. And then when you have it, you're clear. And then it helps your spouse or your family members really understand because you're clear.
Yeah.
Because just because you start the business and you have the idea and you met the need does not mean that you're clear on how to implement it, how to reach the target. None of that.
How to explain it, how to get your message right. Reggie's going to talk about messaging next week in her red tip. Right. You got to hear it because it's going to be good, because we find that a lot of people have issues with messaging. So Tracy is not just one of our red champions. She's been a champion from the beginning. She's stuck with us. There's nothing in the world she could do to get away from us, but she's also one of our coaching clients as well. And so we've had the privilege of see her go from being an introvert.
I'm still an introvert.
I would have never believed that.
She's still fighting. She's still fighting for her space as an introvert. An introvert to an extrovert who's out on panels with federal government and talking to heads of federal agencies. And you're an introvert for real. You were just over there talking to the head of that federal agency. Stop it.
But you know, the interesting thing about Tracy is that, you know, sometimes we have events and she doesn't necessarily have to come, and you think, okay, well, she's good. She has everything she needs. And we look out.
She's there.
She's there.
It doesn't matter. And she keeps where she comes to.
I know. So we thank you for the support, Tracy, because, you know, you got your coaching session. You don't necessarily have to come, but you come and you stay. And you participate.
And we could have done it 27 times. Tracy going to be there on number 28.
We're excited about that.
Because I learn every time I go. I mean, I learn something new every time. Or it gives me clarity on something else that I was looking to maybe do or not do, or should I do, and I get something every time.
Right.
So Tracy, why did you decide to connect with Red Development Group?
Well, I see the value, and not only that, I knew you guys, and I've known Colette for a long time, and Reggie for a while now, but you ladies have a combination that you draw people in. You influence people, you teach, and you push, but you push softly, but you make sure you still get pushed.
And you know,
to do what you're supposed to do.
And I
don't feel like you're like, oh, you know, you're on my back, leave me alone. You know, it's a good, even, you know, energy.
And you know, that's good to hear, because for one, women don't celebrate themselves enough individually or otherwise. But the other thing is that we spend a lot of time trying to ensure that we are crafting the right resource or tool or program for entrepreneurs. And so I thank you for sharing that or saying that, because it helps us to feel like we're on track with some of the things that we're doing.
Absolutely. So we got a question from one of our listeners that is asking, where can you find the information about the Atlanta training? You can go to redwomen.win, and it's right there at the top of the page, and you can apply to see if you'll be one of the lucky ones that's selected. Again, we've got 14 seats left. You can bring up to two of your team members, or have them conference in. If you're going to travel to us, you can have them video conference in, and you're the one who travels but you can have 2 of your team members participate to help you build your plan out. So you can go to redwomen.win, and it's just going to be a great time. It's I think the greatest thing, at least for me, is that we get to be in the room with a lot of giants.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the reason why it's an application process, because we want that group to be giants. We want them to be the giants that know that they're in the last trimester and they've got to find somebody to help them birth this baby. And they've been looking for it, but they haven't been finding it. And so Red Development Group is your midwife or your OB-GYN, and we're going to help you birth this baby so that you can not just birth the baby, but help you have the tools and resources and plan in place in order to make sure that your baby is healthy. And then let it go when it's grown and it's time to let it go. Whether you retire, you exit that way, or whether you pass it on to your children, you exit that. Whatever your exit plan is going to be. Yeah, you have your employee. You give the company to your employees. What are those options? We also, Tracy made a great point about. We were talking about teamwork, and she started talking about her collaborative partnerships, and we're really great at helping our clients build their collaborative partnerships and understanding why those are important. So we got some awesome collaborative partners in Atlanta that we cannot wait to expose you all to. One of them will help you find investors for your business where you didn't have to go do the whole big monkey show in order to get investors, but they believe in who you are and what you do, and they understand you and they get you, and so they're willing to make an investment in you. And so where else are you going to go to get that? In the room full of giants, but we bring our collaborative partners with us. We're right now working on a partnership with one of the local banks. There in Atlanta, we've got partnerships with banks here, but everywhere we go, we're working on building those collaborative partnerships out so that we can bring you the best resources possible.
And so we mentioned the other markets. So we'll do Atlanta in July.
Atlanta, July 29th through 31st.
And then
Charlotte, North Carolina, October 29th through the 31st. So we're excited to come and see y'all over there in Charlotte. Hopefully it ain't going to be cold because she don't like to cook. Well,
I do.
So we're really excited about being in Atlanta, and you all coming to hang out with us, and we promise you will learn something. We also promise you that it's going to be challenging, right?
Yeah.
We challenge your mind. You don't get to be in that space and be mediocre and not be a thinker. It's a room full of thinkers, and so it is really great because in that space that you have to show up and you have to think and you have to show out like everybody else. And so we're excited about that. And then remember to stay tuned for the big secret. We can't wait to tell you what the secret is. We won't tell you right now, though. But you got to stay tuned to find out what the secret is. We'll be dropping it on you pretty soon, but you won't know when.
You want to know.
I know. You'll find out in due time. And so another thing that they need to follow the red tip. And if there is a challenge that they have and they need a tip, they can just type it on there.
Tell us if there's something that's coming up and you want a tip, you want us to give a tip, or you want us to talk about it. Tell us to talk about it, and we'll come and talk about it. Now, don't be mad about what we say, because you might not like it all the time, but it's going to be right and it's going to be good.
That's right.
Right? And we'll back it up with some other folks that
give you what you need.
Yeah.
We'll give you the tip.
We'll give you the tip. Now, it's your decision whether or not you won't take it and use it. So we are so excited and so honored and so humbled by the fact, Tracy, that you champion us, and we get an opportunity to champion you. And really soon, Tracy will begin traveling with us on our tours, doing stuff specific for veterans who are looking for employment opportunities with the federal government, because why not take her with us?
Right.
Their spouse might be sitting in the boot camp, you know, working on the business plan while they're with Tracy working on how do I get this federal position so that, you know, our household income is stable. We got longevity over here, and we're creating longevity over here. And so we use our champions in that way. This is all about how do we help you build your legacy? How do we help you become strong and be strong and stay strong? And what does it mean for you and what you want to do? So I know Tracy's over there holding her breath because I just did that, but yeah.
I'm trying not to think about it.
Right. Well, and it goes back to win-win-win.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Right.
that's the important thing about our collaborative. It has to be three ways, win-win-win. And if it's not, then we don't play.
It has to be a win for you, a win for us, and a win for our collective client base. Otherwise, we got to go back to the drawing board, or we just say no, because that's the way we roll, guys. Yeah.
And we mean it.
We mean it. So this has been amazing.
Yes.
Tracy, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us with your cute hair. And everything. You know.
You're welcome. I am honored to be here today, and thank you. Thank you so
and
much.
remember, you can connect with Tracy on LinkedIn. You can connect with Tracy at HOPEvolution with 2 E's.
That's right.
.com. If you want to be a part of her focus group, or you know somebody who's a veteran or transitioning out of the military that should be continuing their service as a member of our as a member or an employed by our federal agencies, whether it's the USDA or the federal prison system or whoever it is, then send them to HOPEvolution.com and have them make sure that they indicate that they are interested in the pilot group that they heard about on the Red Light with Red Development Group. And as usual, you can find us, the lovely ladies of Red Development Group, at redwomen.win or reddevelopmentgroup.com, or on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn.
Did you say YouTube?
And the YouTube. So if you missed it, this is the one opportunity that you didn't miss it. Because guess what? All of these red lights are up on our YouTube page. Not this one, because we're not done yet. But anyway, they're up on our YouTube page, which is Red Women, one word, win, second word. Red Women win. Red Women, one word.
On YouTube.
Yep.
That's right. That's
and
right.
The second word is win. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go follow us. Go like. Go share. But share intentionally.
Yes.
Don't share just because we said it.
Right.
We want you to share it because you know a business owner who needs to hear this. You know a veteran or a military service member or somebody who needs Tracy's help, somebody who needs the help of Red Development Group. Be intentional about it. When you hear good stuff, share good stuff, because we can get in the habit of sharing the not so good things easily. But let's get in the practice of sharing the good stuff easier than we do the bad stuff. So this has been Red Development Group. I am Colette Porter.
And I am Reggie Stearns.
And our amazing guest is Tracy Harris with HOPEvolution. Thank you for joining us tonight. You have been fabulous. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them there in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to come back and answer them for it. Until next time, kings and queens.
So next Tuesday.
We bid you adieu.